How you doing, guys? This is Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com. I recently did a video asking for viewer questions to see what you guys were interested in, stuff that I could talk about. I got a lot of great ones, so I have them printed out and I'm going to start going through those. This is probably going to be too long to squeeze into one video, so I'll probably break it up and do a couple episodes of viewer questions. We'll see how long it runs and go from there. I'm going to try and start with the oldest ones first and reward the people who actually got in early, and then I'll go up through the newest ones. And you can always put questions if you have on that video. If you haven't already, the best way to get in touch with me is with the email at rulethewasteland@gmail.com. The YouTube comments and messaging system is a little buggy and I can't always see them or respond to them. So if you need to get in touch with me, use rulethewasteland@gmail.com, and that's usually the easiest way. So the first question from YVR Surf. You ever surf, maybe? I don't know. It says, how are you going to deal with all the fallout? Only 2,500 people know how to run the nuke power plants, and when they don't show up to work, kaboom, the planet is dead. Going to get an invite to the underground bunkers the elite will be using? This is, I think a lot of modern power plants, I'm not 100% sure on this, but they're set up with a lot of fail-safes, so that if people just left and didn't go to work, there would be some sort of automatic shutdowns, things like that would prevent there from just being massive overheating and explosions. Obviously, this isn't an absolute preventative measure from any sort of fallout disaster from happening with nuclear power plants, but a widespread meltdown of all the nuclear power plants in the country is not a type of event that I'm realistically preparing for. Obviously, if it happens, I'm going to do anything in my power to escape the disastrous consequences, but it's not something that I base my life decisions on, because it's an extremely low likelihood event that even if I were to prepare for, would be extremely difficult to prepare for. I did a video a while back on the only two shit advanced scenarios that you should prepare for, and super low likelihood events like that are just not one of them, because to dedicate that many resources towards an event that is so unlikely to happen is just not the best way to manage your time and resources. You can't be prepared for everything. That's just the bottom line. Next one, SSArt98 says, what was one of the most defining moments in your life? Who do you most admire in life? And if you could witness any event of the past, present, or future, what would it be? All right, so let's start at the beginning. What was one of the most defining moments in your life? That's interesting. I don't have too many super life-changing events that have happened to me. There's certainly things that I enjoyed, but I haven't had too many defining moments. I think I've just been on a slow quest for self-improvement day in and day out, and haven't had too many, super events like that. So I may have to come back to that one, because I honestly can't think of anything off the top of my head. I haven't looked at these questions ahead of time because I didn't want to have anything preconceived notions about them or whatever. So it may prevent me from answering some of these questions that well, because I haven't had a chance to prepare. But who do you most admire in life? There's a lot of people that I admire in life. I really like Arnold Schwarzenegger, not simply because he makes hilarious movies and is mega ripped, or at least was back in the day, but if you go back and you watch like interviews and stuff like that with him, his just frame and his mindset is so awesome. He basically just bent the universe to his will and decided what was going to happen with his life. He was not a reactive person. He was incredibly proactive in everything he did, and he was just totally dedicated to success, and he had the mindset of a winner and a champion, and that's why he's been so successful. So I super admire that in everyone. He's just one example of someone who has that winner's mindset. Next question. If you could witness any event of the past, present, or future, what would it be? Well, my realistic answer, if someone actually had the ability to grant this to me, would be I'd like to see the drawing of the biggest Powerball lotto in the next year or two, so I know what the numbers are. But out of just a more kind of interesting answer is I'd probably like to see the formation of the universe. That'd be pretty badass. Next up, how many subscribers until you get a perm? This is about my hair. No, I may do cornrows maybe. That's probably better. I don't think I'm gonna be getting a perm anytime soon. How long were you in the National Guard? I was in the National Guard. I went through ROTC at University of Florida for I took a 5-year program, and then I was in the National Guard for several years after that. I guess it was 6 years? Doing some math in my head. Yeah, 6 years? How likely do you think it will be for the average Guardsman to follow orders to establish widespread martial law in the U.S.? If this were to happen, or I guess when this happens, probably will happen eventually, I think it's incredibly likely in the short term for military and police members to follow the orders to do whatever it is. It will be predicated on some sort of event or crisis. It's not just going to be out of the blue. And you have to understand that the entire structure and training of the military is to get people to follow orders in stressful, situations like that. So absolutely it will happen in the beginning. Hopefully after a cooling off period or seeing exactly what's being done by the government, a lot of the more patriotic members will just snap out of it, but I'm not holding out too much hope. We've seen these scenarios play out in countries all over the world throughout history, and you've never seen a large group of people dissenting within the military and law enforcement ranks. At least it's not common. So I'm really hoping that American people, American soldiers in particular, are made of better stuff. But we'll see, I guess. I'm not holding out too much hope in the short term because, like I said, it will be based on predicated on some sort of crisis event, a false flag, anything that they'll use to make it seem like it's absolutely necessity. And that's the problem here. Is a lot of these guardsmen and soldiers and police officers, they really think that they're doing what's best for the country in a lot of ways. They have no idea what's going on, and that makes it worse because they don't even see themselves as being totalitarians. They feel like they're just doing their job and everything. So that's a mindset that we just have to break out of. So I don't hold out much hope for the short term. Are you still stacking silver and gold? Fuck yes. When do you think you have enough? Have you added solar to your preps? Okay, am I still stacking silver and gold, and when do you think you have enough? This is a very important question that I could make an entire video off of, and I probably should in the future, but the mindset that I have on gold and silver is I do not buy gold and silver. I do not stack gold and silver, and I have no particular amount that I'm trying to get to. Gold and silver is money. So when I have money, extra wealth that I need to store, I store it in gold and silver. I sell my dollars and I buy gold and silver with it. And that's the way to look at it. So there is no like stacking or preparing with it. If I find something else, an asset that can produce even more wealth or is undervalued or I need something, then I may trade some of that money, some of that wealth, some of that gold and silver for that item. If I saw a rental house that was super cheap and I could buy it with my money, my gold and silver, and create an income off that, then I would do it. So it's not about investing in gold and silver or stacking gold and silver or even having enough. It's about wealth and money, and that's real wealth, it's real money, and so that's where I store value when I don't have anywhere better to put it. So that's how it works. Have you added solar to your preps? I do not have any active solar as of right now. I have a small solar kit from Harbor Freight and a couple extra components that were given to me, and I'm working on trying to figure out a way to set that up for my aquaponics system. But it's going to take a little bit of finagling because it's not quite a big enough system. I'll have to get some batteries and do the calculations to make sure that it can run, because the pump is running constantly. It's not a very high wattage pump, but it is running constantly. So with a small 45 watt panel like that, it may not be enough, and I'd have to have a couple batteries. So we'll see. I got to do the calculations, but eventually it's going to happen. How about discussing evacuation plans for the beginner due to natural disaster? The last one was Rick Thomas. This one is B. Willen. Evacuation plans for the beginner due to natural disaster. More specifically, I believe you are in Florida. How do you plan to get out of Dodge when the next Category 5 hurricane comes to Florida? Florida is a peninsula with only so many north running roads for egress of the state, so how are you getting out if you have no other choice? Living in Florida my entire life, I really just am not worried about hurricanes, especially where I am now in the center of the state, fairly far north, not that close to the coast. I mean, by the standards of someone in Kansas, I'm incredibly close to the coast, but I'm more than 100 miles in either direction. So the hurricanes cause extremely bad weather here, but it's just unlikely for there to be absolutely fatally catastrophic hurricane damage in my location. So I'm not that worried about it. If you are, or even if you're here or South Florida or whatever, the only real thing you can do is make sure your home and everything has hurricane protections, if you need the shutters and stuff like that, and then rely on the technology that's available nowadays to see these things coming and get out early. You absolutely cannot wait until it's on you to get out, because like this commenter said, there's only a few real ways in and out of the state, and everyone will be going that direction. With bad weather, the roads may be blocked off or extremely slow traffic. So if you're planning on wanting to leave when there is a major hurricane, you have to do it a few days before, at least a day or two before landfall, and just not be there when it does hit. That's really the only solution. How do you deal with a family member who knows you prep and is a bully and potential marauder? I mean, I'm not the type of person at this stage of my life who is going to be bullied by anyone, and I don't really have the whole unconditional love thing, even if it was a family member. So if someone was doing that to me, the family member aspect of it would be irrelevant. And if someone was treating me in that way now, and certainly after any disaster event, they're just going to be totally cut off with extreme prejudice and physical violence if necessary, because I'm just not going to tolerate anyone, related to me or not, who is trying to take away what I've spent my time and effort and money on to prepare for myself and my family and everything like that. So there's just absolutely no way that I would tolerate any of that bullshit, and I would defend myself physically against that person if necessary. And before any event, I would make it absolutely clear to them my stance on that, that if they show up on my door expecting to get anything other than a punch in the nose, that they're sorely mistaken. I think that's where I'm going to stop for this video, because I got about not quite halfway through it, but I'll do another reader's question or viewers' questions videos coming up soon. I appreciate all the great questions, and I'll continue to answer some more in the future. And appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.